All right, hello everybody. So this is my response to homework number 8. So today about dictionaries. So generally it was fine, at least for the first 3 exercises. Those were all fine, the basic ones. But when you were supposed to combine the things, it became more difficult for a few people. Also, maybe there could have been some misunderstanding, some different way of understanding things. So we're gonna get to that. So let me go through the exercises. So in the first exercise, you're supposed to merge 2 dictionaries. So here in the solution, I give you several ways how to do that. I mean, you have attributes of dictionaries like update, for example. But so the issue here is not really how to do it, but what you want to do, right? You have 2 dictionaries and you have to think about it before merging 2 dictionaries. What can happen, right? If there are 2 dictionaries which they have unique keys, then there is really no problem. But what if the dictionaries they share some keys and then you merge them together? What do you want to do? Do you want to have the first key overwritten do you want the values of the key being overwritten? Do you want to keep one of the values specifically? Do you want to keep both of the values? So here I offer you some solutions to that. So of course, the first thing is you can use the update method, but be careful. If you do the update, what it does, it changes the dictionary, right? The dictionary you run update on, well, basically what it does, it updates it. So it adds the new data, and rewrites whatever existing data. If you have the existing key, it's gonna rewrite its value if they share the values. So ideally, if you use this update, it really depends, right? But if you don't want to change the original dictionary, then probably you should first create a copy of the original dictionary and then update that copy. And then there is a nice method using ** quarks for merging dictionaries. I gave you some links here. I recommend you to read on those if you don't know this. We talked about star args, right? So that was for the that was if we want to pass to a function several parameters, but we don't know how many up front. So that we use the *args method. There is a *quarks method when you do this with the dictionaries, and there is this ** quarks method, which takes the dictionary and it unfolds it. And if you want to know what that means, go into these links and read about it a bit again. Okay, and here you have one solution how to create the dictionary if you do not want to overwrite any of the values for the common keys. Okay, so in second exercise, so if we want to change a value for a given key, well, that's really easy. That's just it's mutable, so we can just rewrite that. Sometimes you might want to change the keys in the dictionary, right? That might happen. Some problems will basically ask you to, or will in some situations, whatever you need is to change from the values will have to become the keys, and keys will become the values. So I mean, that's not what this is about, but anyway, just that's something that happens here and there. So here what we wanted is that we have set of keys and we want to change them into new keys. So here again, there is this is a very simple problem. There is lots of solutions, but so one way is to use a for loop. And basically what you do here, so you use this zip function. Again, it's something that I think we've seen zip function before. If we didn't, then definitely read upon that. Zip function is very useful. It creates you these pairs. And so here in the for loop, we are running through the zip. We are running both through the keys, through the old keys, and through the new keys that we want to introduce. And what we are doing here is in the dictionary, we add under a new key, the value that was under the Alt key, and at the same time, because we're using this pop function, we are deleting that key value, Alt key value pair from the dictionary. All right. Now, nested loops. Well, here we have here what we want to do is we want to create sort of a library, right? I mean, here you have dictionaries, but it's a dictionary inside of a dictionary. That's what we want to create. That's what you want to create in here, because you want to have several language dictionaries, and so for each word you want to have it in several languages. So here again, basically what you do is you put in the dictionaries, you have key value pairs, and the value here again is going to be a dictionary. Yeah, so here we have these labels. Those are the what is going to be what are the words. So greetings, goodbyes, thank yous, and sorries. And then the greetings, you have several greetings. So for example, hi, guten tag, and hola, and goodbyes and thank yous and sorries, and so on. And so these you put here into this list. So you see that this is a list of lists. So this is basically a two-dimensional list. And then again, you're gonna zip here. So you zip here the labels. So you're gonna be running through the labels. Those are these ones. And you're gonna run through the data for each label. So LL is the language label and LLD is the language labels data. So you're going through the pair. The label is greetings, and what it contains, well, that's the list of all the greetings. The next label is going to be goodbye, and what the data it contains are the goodbyes, and so on. And so you go through this, and so you see that in the empty dictionary that you had, you for under each label, like greeting, goodbye, thank you, and sorry, you create a dictionary. You put there a dictionary where again you take the language and you take all the language label data, right? And again you use this zip function that makes it really really easy. All right. And so up to now, I think it was not really a problem for most people, but then we had this exercise 4. So let me go a bit slower through this one. So here we should already combine basically everything we had up to now, and this was already some first introduction of use of pandas, which we're going to talk about next week. So first you were supposed to import a CSV file. We've seen that in the lecture, so I think there was no problem on that. You can use lots of different things. So you just use pandas, read CSV and the name of the file, and then you get it. So here it shows you the CSV file, or I mean, it shows you a part of it. As you can see, it has 672 rows and 412 columns. Next, you should go through the columns of this of your panda frame. So those are these guys, through the columns, and delete all the columns that have the SEM in its title, and also delete the total column. So if I look at the names, right, here is a total column. Yeah, I'm supposed to delete that one, and then here is SEM. This one doesn't have SEM, this one. So all the columns that they have the SEM. So well, how would I do that? Well, I would do it exactly as it says. Loop through the columns, which are the columns, because we are in panda frames, they have names. The names are the keys. I mean, basically it's a dictionary, right? We have a dictionary with keys. Those are the names of the frames, and each are the names of the columns. They are called the series. So you do exactly that. So you do a for loop for column in your data. Yeah, it goes for each data. If SEM is in column, then delete the content, delete that column. So if you do a for loop, so there is this interesting thing that you should be careful about, and you should learn about. So again, we have a for loop, and if you do for loop, so here you can be anything, and now here you put some iterable, right? And now depending on what that iterable is, the column will become something. So if there was a list and we have a for loop for column in and file data, if that was a list, then column in each iteration would be just one entry of the list, right? But because this is the pandas, so here is in the data frame, this piece of code runs through the names of the columns, through the keys, same way like in a dictionary, right? So you have learned that already with the dictionary. If you want to run through the dictionary, the safest way is to do dictionary.keys. If you want to go through the values, you do dictionary.values, but you can also run through the dictionary itself, and then it automatically just runs through the keys. So that's important to know if you do this for loop through any kind of data type, to know which part, if this is not a one-dimensional data type, what do you get here, right? Do I get here do I get the whole columns or the names of the columns, or I don't know, or what other values, right? Okay, so this is how we can delete it. We can use this delete function. But now be careful. This means that now this data is lost forever, at least from the file data variable. And again, that's something that maybe we want to do, maybe not. Maybe later we want to extract this data again. We want to use this data. So of course, one way is to copy, create a new copy of this and delete from that one. That is possible. Also, you can use this drop function. So I've seen that. So people be using the drop function here. Be careful. So this drop function, if you use the drop function, it actually does not delete anything. The file data stays intact, but it creates a new copy of the data frame, which, well, does not contain whatever you're dropping. So as you can see here, I'm creating new data equals file data.drop. So people usually use just this part of the code, just file data drop, and now they show that. But if in the next step, if you go back to just file data, you're not gonna get this. You're gonna get the original file data. So again, the drop does not really delete anything from file data. It just sort of hides it, or, well, I mean, it doesn't hide it. It creates a new copy without those parts of data, and so you have to store that copy in a new variable. Or you could write here file data equals file data.drop, and then it would be same like using delete. Also here, so we already talked about it somewhere. So yeah, it was last time. Yeah, last time talked about it. So here I wrote it. If you wanted a one-liner, so I put here the for loop like this into the list. So you can take a look about that. All right. So this we got rid of the columns that we didn't want to. What's the next step? With the exception of column DT, the remaining ones start from CTH. Okay, so create empty dictionary with these keys. Yeah, that's should not be a problem. So you create a new dictionary with these as a keys, but I mean, in dictionary you have a key and a value pair, so you have to give here some values, but you don't know the values yet, so you put empty, right? You just put these braces, and that means that there is no value, that this is empty. All right, so next, append dictionary data CT with columns starting with CT. So we have several columns. So as we said in the exercise number 3, lots of columns starts with either CT, HC, OH, or HO. And so we want to aggregate them together. We want to put them together. So that's why we created this empty dictionary. And under each keyword CT, HS, HC, OH, and HO, we want to have all the columns that start from these keys. So that's number 4. So yeah, that's quite simple. So again, we go through the columns in the file data, which we have changed at this point. we deleted those columns we did not need, right? And now we check the name, and if the column starts with HC, so that means the first two entries, right? The first, if we do the slice of the string, if the first two letters of the string, if they are the HC, then we just added it here. We add this column into the we added into the dictionary. Okay. And again, in our new dictionary, the key word is HC, but underneath this keyword, we're gonna have because we want to put the whole column. So we're gonna create another subkey, right, which is going to be the column. All right, and we go. So we're gonna do that for all of them, right? So either it's HC or CT or OH or HO. Nothing else should be left there. All right. Now number 5. Yeah, I think here was most misunderstanding. So sum all the columns inside each key, then plot each of the 4 summed up columns y-axis data against the column dt axis data separately. So here is the question how you understand this. I myself, as if you think about it from the point of view like of linear algebra, when you think about summing up the columns, you're thinking summing up along the rows. But here what you were supposed to do here, for each key, right, we had these keys CT, HC, OH, HO, and now for each key we put lots of columns, right? That was in the previous step. So for CT, we are supposed to have 58 columns. And to sum them up, you're supposed to sum up the columns. So you're supposed to create only one column of all the sums. So you're actually summing across the columns, but for each row. So what you get is you're going to get a CT column, HC column, OH column, and HO column. And let's say, and they all each will have this, what was the size of the file? They will have all 672 rows, and these rows will be the sum of the values of all the columns that were here under this key. And then you're supposed to plot it against the y-axis, against the data, right? Against the dt. So those are your y values, and you're supposed to plot it against the dt column. These are your axis data. So here we have a dt column. You can think about it. I mean, here you see, right? So here it's in this regular increments. So you can think about it. These are some kind of time steps or distance steps or whatever, and then you've got the data here, right? So now what we did is let's say if these were the columns, we just sum these values here. And so for this x is going to be this y. For this x is going to be this y. All right, and so I think that we have done before, so that should not be a problem. For one more thing that it's not specified here, but okay, we can play with that here. Is we want to have a certain color, but maybe we should do it first. Maybe we should first give the simple solution. So let me copy paste this plus Control V. So this is the solution of number 5. So what we are supposed to do? Well, we are supposed to plot. Now we don't need this point, or we need this. We need to know so how many rows there is. So we use the length function. You see again, we take the column, the dt column, and we put the length on it, and we're gonna get what's the number of the rows that we already seen. This we should get this 672, and then for key. So now here this we do not need. For key in arrange dictionary keys. So this is the This is the dictionary which we created in this step here, right? This is the dictionary that has all the columns put together. So for key in the dictionary, print the number of the keys, and then now we're gonna be doing the sum. So for that, we're gonna first prepare a list of zeros of length of enough zeros. Then we print the key, so we know which one we are printing. And now for column of values, in the arrange values, you add them together. Yeah? So you see that we are adding all the values of the columns at the same time, right? Each of these guys, it is basically a list of 672 values. So we're gonna run through all the columns in here, all the values of the columns, and well, we add them together, and now we put them, and here we forget about the color. And so if we're gonna run this, yeah, of course I did not run any of this so far, so just give me a second. So I have to run this first to get the file data. I think I don't have to delete the same columns. So okay, and of course I did not do also this. So I have to create the empty dictionary, then I'm gonna fill it up with the columns, and now I should get the graphs. So you see that we get those, we plotted those graphs, right? It's a for key HC, there was 126 columns, 174, 78, 30. So maybe so I guess I needed to delete those same columns. So yeah, see, if you don't do things properly from the beginning, then if you don't run the code, then you're gonna get a different results. So okay, now I get this. Oh, no, it's the same. Is it the I didn't delete those columns. Okay, let me run it again. So first we get the data. Then we have to delete the data. Delete. Because I here use this. Okay. So yeah, of course, running this. Because I have here the pop method. So what I should work here with is new data, and then it's gonna be just fine. New data. New data. New data. New data. And new data. Okay. And now I also need to put here new data. New data. And now I got that, right? So now I got this. I have the 42 columns. Those are the HC columns. There is 42 of them. And here these are the results of the total of the values. So for each value here from 0 to 3000, those are the DT values. We're going to take a look at this here. DT values go from 0 all the way to almost 3000. So I'm gonna get these 4 graphs. Yeah, you see it's a for loop. So in that loop, in each run of the loop, I create one graph. I create the sum, and then I plot the graph, and do it again and again. So I mean, as you can see, I lost all the data. I mean, here this is a really simple code. Well, one thing that you might not like here is, well, I mean, all the graphs, they have the same color, right? So maybe you want to change the color. So one simple way here is, so we create this the color, it's a list of colors, of RGB colors, so red, blue, green, and yellow. And because I have 4 graphs, I need 4 colors. And so what I can do is in this for loop, again, I can use the zip function to zip the keys, the C, the H, C, and so on, and with one of these colors, right? And then I'm going to use the color here. And if I'm going to run this code, you see I get exactly the same graphs, but with different colors. And that's just, let's say, that's a simpler version of what you were supposed to do in 6. So in number 6, you're supposed to create a function, give me color, that returns a random color from a predefined list. And you should call this function before plotting, so you have a random color plots. So obviously now, after seeing this code, it's quite simple here, right? I mean, here what we're doing is we're going through this list of colors, but we are not supposed to be doing it. So we are going through this list and giving the color that is here, but now we would want this color to be the one coming from the random function, from the random color. So one way is, so we create this function here, we import random library, and we just use this random function, random choice function that from a list just gives you one value randomly. And then the code is pretty much the same as before or as in the beginning. So again, for key in the dictionary keys or arrange dictionary keys, you create the sum, you do the sum, but then for the plotting, before you give it the color, you get the color through give me color. Okay, and so now you see these are totally random. You see that twice it got yellow, then black and green. Maybe one more thing I can say, we can, instead of this line, actually, we can put this straight to here, right? You can run the function inside of here when you're giving the parameter. There is not any issue. All right, so I hope that now it's more clear what you were supposed to do and how to do it. So you can play with that. Thank you.